Hello everyone, welcome to the part 3 of our second outline, which is basics with R. So in this video we will learn about factors. So let's get started. We will be covering some few aspects of factors, such as the definition of factors. Then we will see the creation of factors. Then we will use some built-in functions on factors that are quite simple to use. Then we will see how we can subset factors or assess the elements inside a factor. Then we will do some comparison between the elements of a factor, and we will also see how we can change items in a factor. So first of all, what are factors? The term factor in the R language refers to a statistical data object that is used to categorize and store data as levels. Factors are really helpful when analyzing data for statistical modeling, since categorical data frequently falls into a limited number of categories, such as true, false, and it can also be red, gray, or white, among others. So let's see how we can create a factor. Use the factor function with a vector as the input to create a factor. Here is the syntax written below. So first of all, we have to write down the function name, and then we have to pass down some parameters such as ordered levels, labels, and a vector. So vector simply works as the input, and now let's see parameters. So first of all, we have vector, which is a one-dimensional data structure to store elements, which we have already seen in the previous video. Next, we have ordered. So this parameter takes a logical value such as true and false. Don't worry, we will see its use later. Next, we have levels. It's used to change the order of the levels. In the last, we have the parameter of labels that is used if you want to label the names of your desire. Now let's move to RStudio to do some implementation and see how we can create a factor. Alright, first of all, let's say if we have a closet that contains 5 different items or some same items. Let's say my vector, I can say that I have a shirt, and then I have pants, and then I have another pants, and then I have a shirt, and I also have a tie. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This vector contains 5 different elements and some same elements. Now I will create a factor. Let's say my vector factor. So this is going to be the name of my factor. So first of all, like we have studied before, we will use the factor function to create a factor. I will say create a factor of my vector. Take this vector as the first input or the parameter. All right. Let's try to print out my vector factor. All right. My vector factor. Let's run it. All right. So you can see here that it's your factor. Now, one thing to note here, which I will do this now, print my vector. And now you have to see the difference between both of them. All right. At first, you may have seen that my vector was simply a vector, but when you converted it into a factor by using this vector function, you can also create a vector by passing the vector inside the vector function, let's say I create a new vector, vector1, and then I say create a vector, and this time I'm going to be passing a vector just right here. Let's pass the same vector, shirt, pants, pants, shirt, and tie. All right. This time I will use other labels as well, such as levels. All right. So let's say I want to create levels of my own choice. I want it to be in the order of shirt, pants, and then tie. So I say shirts, and then pants, and then tie. Let's print this vector 1. All right. So you can see here that the shirt has appeared first. Let's do something else. This time I will create another vector, let's say fact2, and I'm going to be using the vector function and define the same vector, let's say shirt. All right, let me copy it. Okay, all right. All right, so I want the levels to be in the same order as well. Let's say I want to do some change. I want to have tie at first, then shirt at first, and then pants. All right. This time I'm going to be using another parameter, which is labels. All right. Let's create some labels. Okay. So labels are actually the names that are given to the levels according to your own desire. Such as I say, the first label should be like tie closet. All right. And the second label should be shirt closet, as they all are in a closet. And then I say pants closet. All right. Let's run it. The fact2. Okay, let's see the difference. Oops, I have made a little mistake here. Let me see. Yeah, I forgot to put the C combine function. So the labels are now given according to your own desire. All right, let's move back to slides. First of all, let's see that what bin-field functions we can use. So the first one is length, which we have used in the previous videos as well. Let's try to use it. All right, I had a vector, which was my wig vector. Let's print it. Now I'm going to be using the length function in the same way as I have used in the earlier videos. And I say I want to see the length of this vector. All right, so the length is 5, as actually there are 5 elements in the vector. Let's get back to slides. Next, we have summary. So this built-in function generates a summary of the data structure which we are using. And at this moment, it's a vector. All right, my vector. Okay, that's good. So you can see here that it's the summary. You have 2 pants elements and 2 shirts, 1 tie. Next, we have is.vector, which is used to ensure if the data structure is a vector or not. Let's use it. At first, I had is dot vector function, and I created my vec. The result is false because if you know that my vec was originally just a vector, now let's use this function once again is dot vector. All right, my vector. Let's see the result. So absolutely the result should be true, and as you can see here, it's true. Now let's get back to slides. Next, we have levels. This function is used to check the number of levels of a vector. Let's use it. This time, I'm going to be using it on the same vector, which is my vector. And the levels are pants, shirt, and tie. Okay, now it's time to move forward. Let's see how we can subset vectors. Right, so it's similar to how you do with matrices and vectors. You can assess a vector's elements by using the brackets. The relevant index can be used to assess any vector item. Let's do it. All right, as I had my vector 1, a vector, it contained a shirt, then 2 pants, then a shirt, and a tie. All right, so this time I'm going to be using, subsetting a vector. Let's say I want to assess the last item of this vector, which is probably on the 5th index. And now I'm going to be running it, and the result should be tie. So that is how you can assess any element of a vector by just specifying the index. Now, here we have a really important question. What if you want to do a comparison between the elements of a vector, or if you want to change the items in a vector? What will you do? All right, first of all, we have to create a vector. Let's say my vector. I give my vector a name, my vector, and this time I'm going to be using the vector function. And let's say if we have a shop of sandwiches, and today 5 customers came and they ordered sandwiches of different sizes. The first customer ordered a sandwich of small size, the second purchased a medium size, the third purchased a large size, and the fourth purchased a small size, and the last one, fifth customer, also purchased the medium size. All right. Now using the greater than or smaller than operator in vectors, you can easily compare the items of vectors. One can also change the elements of a vector by simply referring to the respective index. Now let's do it. First of all, I'll say labels, and I'm gonna pass some labels. The label is like small, then medium, all right, then large. Okay, that works for me. And I now use the parameter ordered. Here it is as true. Okay, so this parameter actually enables me to compare the items inside the vector. So I want to say if my vector, let's say if we want to compare between medium and large. So medium is at the second index. I want to know if the medium item is greater than my vector, the item of large, which is at the third index. So this should be a false. This should be a false as medium is not larger than the large value. Let's run it. So I have made a technical mistake here, which is levels. I passed labels instead of levels. Now let's run it once again. If I'm not wrong, it should be false. Let's say if I want to do another comparison, I say my factor, and this time I want to do a comparison of small and large. So small is at the first index, and I say if small is really smaller than the third index, so it should be true. Yeah, that's absolutely true. So this is how you can compare the elements inside a factor. Now, you might be wondering that what if I want to change the items inside a factor? So this is quite simple. All you have to do is to write the name of the factor, then put the brackets, and then here you have to write down the index on which you want to make a change. Let's say uh, I want to change this value on the second index, which is medium. I say change the value on second index, and the value should be uh, small. All right. Now let's print my factor to see if it's changed or not. See, small, small, large, small, medium. So the value at the second index is now changed. All right. Note. So one important thing to consider is that if a certain item has not already been included in the factor, you cannot alter its value. On the other hand, if you want to change it, you must have to specify it in the levels argument already. Let's see what it means. All right, let's see here. I have the same factor and I again want to change the item at the second index. And this time, I specify a different item. Let's say extra large. All right, this will technically throw an error because this item has not been specified in the factor before. But if you do the same thing, but this time you specify it in the levels. All right, extra large. So this time it will not throw the error and you will see it. All right, my fact as extra large. Okay, let's run this. The item has been changed. It's now small, extra large, large, small, medium. Now let's move back to slides. All right, so this is the end of today's video. You have learned about what is a factor, how you can create them, and how you can do a comparison onto them. And furthermore, you have also learned how you can change the items inside a factor. Now, good luck. See you next time.